You've been putting in long hours at work or school, and you haven't had any time to decompress in quite a while. So you decide to take a vacation with your family or friends. Then, 2 weeks later, you're back home again, and everyone asks you, "How was your vacation?" And you respond, "It was great. The sights were so amazing, and it was nice to get away from it all." But really, you're just trying to convince yourself that it was. In reality, it kind of sucked.
It's time to play a game. You have 2 weeks to have as much fun and become as relaxed as possible. Failure to do so will result in a total waste of your vacation days for this year. Your time starts now.
Even if you have a really great vacation planned, the fact of the matter is that it often has to be planned in the first place, which can be stressful in and of itself. But because you only have a couple of weeks, or even only a couple of days, depending, there's often this feeling of urgency to whatever it is that you're doing. Like you're just frantically moving down a checklist the whole time. Not only does this detract from the enjoyment of whatever you're doing, it's also kind of exhausting in general if you're doing so many activities in a row, one right after the other. People automatically assume more activities equals more fun, so you have to fit as many activities as you can into the time that you have. This causes problems. Do you guys know where the word travel comes from? It comes from the French word travail. What does that word mean, you ask? Work. Because that's what travel is. It's a lot of work. The first thing to think about is how you're going to get there in the first place. The logistics. Do you need to drive? Do you need to fly? Do you need to drive after you fly? For most of the big vacations that people talk about, there will probably be airplanes involved. And then you need to think about cost. Plane tickets aren't cheap these days, and gas isn't either. Then you need to go through airport security. Now, especially if you're flying in the US, this can take a while. Then you have the actual trip. Whatever method you're taking, it can take a long time to get there. Now, don't get me wrong. I actually really like car rides, as long as I'm not driving. You can just listen to music while watching the scenery pass by. There's something so relaxing and satisfying about it. But when it comes to airplane flights, it's loud, it's cramped, you're surrounded by people that you don't know, and they could be sick. The one plus is that there could be a bit of novelty in the scenery if you have a window seat. But if you don't have access to your usual dosage of technology, or a book, or some other escape, that's it. Hey guys, are you ready to see the parade? It should be really cool. Nah, we're actually super tired, so we're not going to go. Hey buddy, we're all getting super hungry. Ready for dinner? Oh. Should we wake him up? Dealing with more than 2 people on a vacation can be maddening. Different people want to do different things. Someone is tired and doesn't want to do anything. Someone wants to rush along because they're hungry. Someone gets lost. Someone gets in trouble. Each person that you add makes the vacation exponentially more difficult. You have to factor in their interactions with every person there, and you are reliant on every person there because if one person messes up, it has the potential to hold up everyone. Now, I'll admit, this might bother me a bit more than the average person. I'm sort of a human sheepdog hybrid. I like it when everyone is together, doing the same thing. You know how when you're walking in a larger group, and the group kind of naturally splits into different segments depending on walking speed and conversation topic? Yeah, it drives me absolutely crazy. I end up awkwardly walking between the different segments by myself, half-heartedly trying to convince one of the groups to combine back into the other one. I wish I could physically herd them, like actual sheepdogs do with sheep. I also sometimes do this with conversations at a large table. Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. What do you think, Ben? Oh, what? I was talking with Kathy about...
You're both part of our conversation now.
I might have a problem. Anyway, the point is, keeping track of a group during a vacation is difficult. If you're a person of authority, like a parent, then you kind of simultaneously have to keep an eye on all the group and try to enjoy yourself at the same time. And if you're all just friends or of equal responsibility or whatever, there's no leader, then you all just kind of hope that you'll be able to find each other later. Or you go crazy like me. Plus you all need to agree on where to go, or if doing multiple things, how will the group be split up? And you need to agree on restaurants, and it's just really complicated. Have you ever heard of Paris syndrome? It's an oddly specific mental disorder that allegedly affects tourists disappointed or even shocked by what they find in Paris. What unspeakable horrors do they find in Paris that could cause this disorder, you ask? Well, they find a city. They find a normal, bustling, busy, slightly dirty in some places, city. This is a problem because most people visiting Paris for the first time aren't expecting a city. They're expecting a magical, mysterious, romantic place that only exists in their imagination. So for these poor people, it's like discovering that Santa isn't real all over again. Except that it's a whole city of Santa not being real. Herein lies one of the most unfortunate problems with vacations. A problem which affects us in many other areas of our lives. Expectations, and the disappointment that they cause. The more you think about something you've never seen or experienced, the more you build up this fictional placeholder for that thing. Then, when you finally see or experience that real thing, that fictional placeholder in your head, for better or for worse, is destroyed. Occasionally you might underestimate the thing. It actually turned out to be even better than you imagined. But most of the time, the real thing can't live up to whatever it is that you thought up. Maybe there's way more tourists than you thought there'd be. Maybe the monument isn't as majestic. Maybe something just seems off. In any case, there's a lot of ways your expectations can fail you. There are some ways you can prevent this. Just try to keep an open mind, or try not to go into the experience with much information about it. But the dilemma with that second one is obvious. You don't want to accidentally pick a sucky vacation. You want to be smart and know what you're paying for and what you're getting into. Now, I don't want anyone to get the wrong idea here. Like most people, I love a good vacation. I love the idea of vacations. But I love vacations in the same way that you'd love your cousin Billy, who was in prison for 5 years and really needs to get his life turned around. You want to see them succeed. You really do. But it's difficult. Thank you to everyone who got through this video. I hope you enjoyed it. This is actually my first video, so if you did enjoy it, be sure to let me know in the comments and subscribe, all the usual jazz, because I might end up making more of these. Thanks again,